What's going on, guys? It's Tuesday. For some reason, I've decided to go live for my newest signature haul. Part 13? Really? 13 of these parts? I made 13 videos on signatures. What am I thinking? I don't know, but nonetheless, I didn't feel like editing, and I kept putting this video off, so I'm like, why not combine the idea between my Tuesday night live stream and Signature Sundays and put them all together in one crazy live stream that's probably going to go on way too long because I went through 4 short boxes and had extras. So hopefully you guys like signatures because I'm just going to be throwing the books up as quick as I can. I have over 100 books to show tonight as a part of this signature haul. So before we get into the first stack here, let's get into the chat once and see who's hopping in. We got Caleb, Comic Smurf Murphy. What's going on, man? I actually need to hit that guy up on Instagram about an offer he sent me. What is going on, Caleb? And we have honorary Comic Corps member, the Snapper Car of the Comic Corps. We got Kris Barrett hanging out in the chat. What's going on, Kris? We also have a Poor Man's Comics. What's going on? I saw in his last video he had a signature. I don't even think he knew he had a signature, but I made sure to point it out for him. If you guys hadn't checked out that haul he had, oh my God, check it out. He gets some of the best hauls because he knows what he likes. So definitely check out Poor Man's Comics. He gets some phenomenal books for like dirt cheap. So I definitely respect his hauls. Next up, we got, by the way, thank this guy for a t-shirt purchase. We got John's Comics with Kids in the chat. What is going on, King John Free? By the way, big shout out to John's Comics with Kids, JB from Discovery Bay and Comics Miss Explained. They had Comic Court last Sunday, and oh man, it might be my show of the week so far. Absolutely killed it on identifying if that Crisis book that we don't want to talk about anymore is worth talking about. So that's all I'll say about that. Absolutely fun show though. And we got YouTube is 90. Drink it in, man. We got Chad from 90 MF Comics. What's going on? Always like seeing him in the chats. I think he's got some stuff going on all week on his channel and the MCE channel he's a part of. So check him out. We got Just a Rican in his comics. Big thanks to him. He had the Comic Corps as a part of the shout-outs for the week. He had to use Instagram to do it because YouTube was on the fritz midday Sunday. So definitely check out Just a Rican on his YouTube and on Instagram. So big thanks for the recognition there, Just a Rican. And I'm going one way too long because, like I said, 100 books. So we'll go ahead and hop in to the signatures here so you guys can see and enjoy them as much as I do. We'll start off. Let's see if I can get that glare terrible as possible. Oh, yeah, we got some shiny 90s goodness. Wonder Woman issue 100, signed by Mike Deodato Jr. So if you guys seen my sketchbook collection, I got a nice sketch by Mike Deodato Jr. I got this book signed when I got that sketch. So one of my favorite 90s foil series. I had them all as a kid. There's like a Green Arrow one, a Flash, and a Justice League, and a Wonder Woman. They all hit 100 at the same time because there are all those post-crisis books that just kept running until, 96? Or late July 95, it says. So there you go. So fun book there. We got Wonder Woman 219. Cool J.G. Jones cover. Like I said, signed by J.G. Jones right there. This is the death of Maxwell Lord. So a very important Infinite Crisis crossover book. So if you guys want to read Infinite Crisis, this is a great supplement book to add to your reading collection if you're getting ready to read that. Everyone loves them. Some Jenny Frison Wonder Woman covers. To my knowledge, this may be the first one she did. I could be wrong. Poor Man's Comics is in the chat. I know he'll correct me if I'm wrong on this one, but we got a Sensation Comics featuring Wonder Woman issue 15. Got this one signed by Jenny Frison right by the boot there. So one of the nicer Frison covers in my opinion. Going back to Jenny Frison and Wonder Woman, we got issue 22 signed by Jenny Frison as well. I know a lot of people like this one. I got issue 25 signed in a nice gold right there by Jenny Frison to match the golden lasso of truth. So absolutely dug that. This one is actually signed by Marco Santucci at the bottom. He did the interiors on this, so I don't know why I didn't get this one signed by Jenny Frison. So I think I just forgot to take it out of my bag. So, but hey, nonetheless, cool cover too. Marco Santucci is really cool. I met him at the DC booth, and he actually did a free Wonder Woman sketch for me that's on my wall over there. I'll probably try to show that. I don't know if I've showed that off ever, but just a nice free sketch. So can't beat that. We got a book called The Woods. This was, I think, produced by Boom Comics. This is a C2E2 exclusive signed by James Tynan right there. So there's that. If you guys like some Snyder and some Jock team up, we got like a whole run of Witches just about double signed by Scott Snyder and Jock. They were at a C2E2. I think, let's see, 2015 is the date Snyder put on his signature. So thank you for that, Mr. Snyder. So now I can identify exactly when these are signed. They had a joint signing at an Image booth in 2015. So I took my whole run of Witches that was released at the time and had them sign this one. Of course, you got to have issue 2. It's maybe the creepiest cover of the bunch because you don't want an eye forming on your neck. That's just, thank you for that one, Jock. That's gross. Issue number 3, double signed by Jock and Scott right there. The Jock and Scott connection. Also signed issue number 4. So there we go. And that's all that was out at the time I met him. Otherwise, I would have took 5 and 6 with me. Here we go. We got some Xcalibur. This is like that big special edition they had. I think it predates maybe the series, if I remember right. Kind of foggy on when this came out in comparison to that. But it's signed by Alan Davis. Got him in 2018. C2E2 once again. As well as the next book, Xcalibur. Number 1, Alan Davis signature right there. We got Ken Lashley's signature on Xcalibur number 71. So his signature is right there. And once again, love my 90s gimmicks. Awesome hollow foil card right there. Boom. There's your awful glare of the day. Love it. Once again, Ken Lashley signature on 82 as well. And did I say 90s gimmicks? Oh, look at that. We get more 90s gimmicks with hollow foil stripe down the middle. So gotta love the Phalanx Covenant. We got a Bob Layton signature on X Factor issue number 1. Newsstand. So there you go. We had to get one of those in tonight. So got Bob Layton sig there. Hey, we're gonna drop some books tonight. I guarantee it. But I caught them, so we haven't dropped them yet. As well as issue 2 is in the same bag at the time. Newsstand. So had to get that signed by Bob Layton as well. Here's a very underrated series I'm happy to finally get a chance to talk about. We got Peter David's X Factor. It's like the second run of X Factor after House of M. Got this one signed by Peter David. One of my favorite X-Men runs in the mid-2000s. As you'll see here in a second. We got a lot of them getting ready to get shown here, like a whole stack. So we got issue 8, Civil War tie-in signed by Peter David. This is where I started collecting it regularly. After, sorry, I'm looking at my hardcover collection. Remember the name. Messiah Complex came out. That was an awesome run, so I decided to add X Factor after Messiah Complex. So I got this one signed by Peter David and Valentine Delandro right there. And we got triple signed books here. So we got X Factor. That one is signed by Peter David, Delandro, and then cover artist David Yarden, who does some awesome covers on these as well. So I got that one triple signed. And all 3 of the gentlemen signed this book as well, which is issue 41. Same thing for issue 42, another triple signed book right there. Actually, this one is signed 4 times. So we get X Factor number 43. You get David Yard, Peter David, Valentine Delandro. And remember Marco Santucci from the Wonder Woman book earlier? He actually worked on this book as well. So love having 4 signatures or more on my books. That's always fun. Once again, 44 quad signed, 4 signatures, same guys. Absolutely love this cover. This might be my favorite cover of the whole X Factor run. I don't know what it is about that Monet cover, but it almost looks like a John Cassaday style artwork there. So thought that one was awesome to get all those signatures on. We got a David Yarden signature on issue number 45. Same thing for issue number 46. So right there. Peter David has signed my copy of 49. And then the last one in this box, this is all in the same short box so far, if you guys are keeping score at home. Issue 50 signed by Peter David. So I don't know where my issue 200 is. I have an issue 200 signed by all those guys too, but I think that ended up in my brother's collection. So I'm still looking for that in some dollar bins to try to get my copy back, basically. So there was the first short box. So yeah, before we get into the next one, let's get back into this chat and see who's joined us, because after I showed like 30 books there. We had a lot of people hop in. Let's see. Chris Barrett says, I love those Jenny Frizen covers. Poor man's agree. He says, the frizz. So, absolutely. I agree 100%. We got Bear Island Comics. I believe he's having a contest going right now, guys. That I watched John's Comics with Kids participation video today. It was absolutely awesome. Bear Island's having a cool contest, so please check out his channel. Very underrated channel in the community, in my opinion. He says, what's up? Just in time for some everyone loves some Jenny Frizen. We got my first subscriber ever. We got Fish Tropic in the chat. What's going on, man? Let's see who else we got. We got the Mastodon Comics and Collecting. Yeah, he noticed my little surprise for the Great Legend up there, trying to egg him on into that Gulak versus Corbin. Ugh. That guy, yeah, the retirement match. So we got poor man's. He says, Xcalibur, you stole that from Jason Smith? No, I just took it for some dollar bins. You know how it goes. Let's see. We got Sam I Am Comics. What's going on? Oh, man, here we go. We also got Bake the Snake. He says, what's up, Comic Fools? How's everyone doing tonight? Oh, it looks like they changed the little icons on my screen. It's like, that looked like a taco, but it's actually a fist. So, weird. So, let's see what else we got going. We got Dave Enrique. He says, what's the most signatures you have on a book? Eventually, I think I got a book that says, I think I got 8 signatures on up there. We'll get into that next video. And if we're counting hardcovers, I got like one hardcover with 35 signatures. So that'll be the video after that. So yeah, something like that. I got to count them up officially still on those. All right, so getting into the next short box here, let's show some more signatures. So we're going back to Peter David and X Factor. We got all new X Factor signed by Peter David. Didn't really get into this run as much. I was kind of getting out of all the Marvel stuff by the time this one came out, because it's the Marvel Now stuff I wasn't too into, at least on the X Factor. But nonetheless, I still enjoyed that one enough to get signed by Peter David. We got some Bendis all new X-Men. This one's signed by David Marquez, right there by Xavier Shadow. Pretty cool run. I think it overstayed its welcome quite a bit, but I enjoyed like the first run of this, like the first couple arcs, as you will see here in a second, because I also have issue 7. Cool cover on that one. Got signed by David Marquez again, as well as issue number 8 right there. Here's a great run of X-Force. I think most people know about this one, so I'm not going to call it underrated, but I got Uncanny X-Force number 2. This one's signed by Rick Remender. I had the first one. It was the Campbell variant. I had it signed by Campbell and Remender. Actually, I might have just had the Remender signature on there, but I sold that, so I will not count that one, of course. And I have issue 3 as well, signed by Rick Remender. So here's something for you classic X-Men fans out there. So we've got some nice Claremont signatures. So here we go. We got X-Men 130, I believe, first Dazzler newsstand. There you go. Signed by Chris Claremont. So these were actually gifted to me by my brother like a long time ago. So one of the best gifts I ever got for Christmas. So there's that one. I got 131 signed by Chris Claremont as well. I think these were signed, if I remember right, around 2004 or 2006 at a Wizard World in Chicago. 132 signed by Claremont. So gotta love the Hellfire Club. 133 Wolverine lashes out. So this is around that time. He's just like, well, they gave us their best shot. Wait till they get a load of me. And he's like in the sewer with his claws out. It's a pretty cool shot. We got 134 Claremont signed as well. 135, one of my favorite. I mean, these are all like your favorite covers coming up. So I could say this is my favorite cover, but like the whole run from this until Days of Future Past are all just iconic. So 135, definitely 136. I don't know if those Hunt guys are still out there, but I know they have like a name for this style of cover. So I forget it now. I'm sure someone will type it in the chat. But nonetheless, I got a Claremont signature that Cyclops is staring at right there on the cover. 137, signed by Claremont. Actually, I have a couple copies of this, so I think I have one I'm going to get graded soon, but I'm definitely not getting rid of that because it's Claremont signed. 138, where Cyclops leaves in grief of losing Jean. Get 139, where they welcome Kitty officially to the team. Just love that cover. Like I said, I love all these covers. This is probably like the only one that's like kind of not iconic, I guess, is the Wendigo cover. So there you go. Claremont signed once again. And then the last one in that big stack is 142. This issue, everybody dies. So one of my all-time, I said it before, I'll say it 10 million more times. This is one of my all-time favorite covers. I mean, come on. Like, there you go. Enough said. So that concludes that box. So some great stuff in there, of course. Let's see what else we got. Thank you, Caleb. They were putting the T-Republic link in there for if you guys want to get those newsstand t-shirts. So I know people are loving those. I just recommend getting it in white because otherwise if you get it in like black, like Mark PKR has the black one, and I didn't even know he was wearing it on Comic Core until Kat mentioned it. So it has a cool look like in person probably, but get the white one. Take my advice on that. Sam I Am Comics says the Uncanny X-Force run is pretty sweet. Yeah, I like that one a lot, and then I like the Craig Kyle, Chris Yost X-Force run that was right before that. Got some great X-23 storytelling in there. Chris Barrett says, I was talking to a guy on Reddit a few nights ago who has a list of every name on Amazing Spider-Man 700 Skyline variant, is trying to get as many signatures as possible. Needed that list. Yeah, that's a cool book to get. That and the Venom one they kind of copied that with as well. I'll eventually show up probably 2 videos from now in this series where I have one of those Ultimate Spider-Man 100 project covers from the Hero Initiative. And that's the one I've got like probably 34, 35 signatures in that one. So stay tuned for that. That'll be a fun. I could almost just do a video on that book alone. So I might just do that eventually as a part of this series once I kind of count out the individual issues I have signatures on, because I don't want people like, oh, that's a graphic novel, not a comic. Why would you count that? Yeah, whatever. Anyway, back to the books. Going into my third short box. Here's what was in that one. So we have Uncanny X-Men 228. This one is signed by Rick Leonardi. I got his signature last year at Cincinnati Comic Expo. It is right there by my index finger. So there's that. He also did work and signed 235. So he signed it kind of like in that Claremont spot right there. Here's one of them. I keep saying it. Here's one of my favorite covers. But hey, we'll beat a dead horse, I guess. We got X-Men 268. Like I said, the Claremont spot, probably my favorite Claremont signature I have, just because I guess the book is it just looks so nice. But just an iconic Jim Lee cover, Claremont signature on there. If I could go back in time and maybe get one gold label, to probably be this one. I don't know. I just really like that cover. What else can I say about it? We got this one double signed. We got more 90s gimmicks on Uncanny X-Men 304. This one is signed kind of in that Claremont spot by Jay Lee. And then on the card by John Romita Jr., right below Magneto there on the card. So once again, I got to do the glare. So there you go. Love those covers. Guys like Alex Ross. We got a couple Alex Ross signatures. Here's one on Uncanny X-Men number 500. So Alex Ross's signature. So I'll put a little bit of glare on it so you can see that silver glow at the bottom there, kind of by Wolverine. And then I also have the Dynamic Forces exclusive Alex Ross variant that signed by Alex Ross as well. I think it was either 2010 or 2012. Probably 2010 at C2E2 is when I got these signed by him. So the signature, if you can not see it, is right there. So always cool to have those Alex Ross signatures in the collection. We got a Kieran Gillan signature run coming up. So we got X-Men Regenesis from his time on X-Men. Signed it right there a few years ago at C2E2. He actually signed it with a little X on top of it, so I thought that was kind of cool. But nonetheless, unremarkable signature. I love Kieran Gillan, though. But yeah. And he also signed the Uncanny X-Men number 1. A little bit better visible signature on there right there. Like I said, he kind of added his own X gimmick there because it was an X-Men book. So, like that. Here we go. You guys like Jim Lee? I figured. So we got a X-Men number 2 from the 90s run. Signed by Jim Lee right there. He took Chris Claremont's spot, so Claremont actually had to sign down here in like the garbage. So I forgot Claremont signed this book until I took it out, because I'm so used to seeing his signature up there that when I pulled it out, it was actually like down there. I'm like, oh yeah, he signed this one too. So cool to have a double signed book from those two. I think that's my only one. Oh, I might have one more double signed by him that's on up above me there. So hopefully I do. We got X-Men 25. I think this is one of my first comic book purchases as a kid. Maybe the first X-Men book I ever owned was this one here specifically. Got it signed by Andy Kubert. C2 or not, Wizard World 2006, if I remember. It was either 06 or 07 where the Kubert brothers went. But had to get this book signed because it's one of my favorites ever. Once again, 90s card gimmick, so love it. And then one of my favorite runs we got coming up, New X-Men. Wish I could meet Grant Morrison. I would take, I try not to take too many books for a person anymore, no more than like 5 to 8. Which I kind of feel like a jerk if I take 8, but I might do it if I've never met the person. I really like them. But I'd probably take a bunch for this guy. But I do love me some Grant Morrison. But nonetheless, we got some Ethan Van Sciver signatures on these New X-Men. We got New X-Men 123, Wizard World 2007 signed by Ethan Van Sciver right there. We got 124, same thing, or like his signature placement by those tater chips there that Zorn is absorbing somehow. I was actually talking to Legend about Bill Sienkiewicz like yesterday. I don't know how he came up, and I'm like, he has one of the not grossest signatures, but this is actually like one of the better ones. So I think I showed off some Elektra books previously where he just kind of does like a silver doodle all the way across the cover. But at least this one you can kind of tell it's his name. So I got a Bill Sienkiewicz signature on this 127. We got this one signed by Ethan Van Sciver, 128, first appearance of Phantom X, if I remember right. So, and one of my favorite covers in the whole series. I love Jean Grey is like one of my top X-Men, so I absolutely love that cover. And then probably the next cover as well is really good too by Van Sciver, so I had to have him sign that right there. But just kind of the whole team in general, and Wolverine just looks like he's having the time of his life for some reason in that picture. And he's usually just PO'd, but he must have had some good beer that day. So there you go. That concludes that box. Usually I'd cut it at 3, but I literally had 1 box left. So I'm like, screw it. We're getting it out. We're just going to show it as a part of this video. So let's get back into the chat one more time before we keep going. All right, where to start? Bake says, trying to get all those SIGs on one book. Yeah, I mean, you definitely have to carry it around a lot. I probably should invest in top loaders eventually, but I usually try to take care of my book bag when it's got my books in it. It probably gets all the living ones, especially if he hits cons, multiple creators are attending. I keep forgetting there are way more cons and opportunities. Oh yeah, absolutely. There's like a con every weekend now in this country. So sometimes 2 or 3, they're stepping over each other, but I'm kind of lucky here in the Midwest because we get C2, E2. I'm in like the middle of Indiana, basically, so I can go to C2, E2 pretty easily. Indiana Comic-Con, Cincinnati Comic Expo, and now they have like a Louisville SuperCon, GalaxyCon, whatever that's called now. So there's usually like 4 cons I can easily get to within driving distance that get a decent amount of creators. I would say Wizard World, but I kind of don't count them anymore because they're on the downward spiral. Make says, now I'm just showing off. I haven't begun to show off yet. Wait till the next vid. Wait till the wall video. There's a reason I put the books on the wall. You'll find out next video. Let's see what else we got. Chris Barrett says, I like Jim Lee enough to buy a signed book from White Whale. All right. Chris Barrett says, Happy Wolverine. Is he stoned or did he just kill 10 people? Probably both. All right. Let's keep rolling on. We got more X-Men. As you can tell, I try to alphabetize my books. So this is an X-Men themed signature haul, basically. Whole next decks, just more X-Men. Got a couple surprises in there, though. But we got Astonishing X-Men. This is probably the best variant cover of the bunch that came out for it. Signed by John Cassaday. Once again, probably my favorite cover of the whole run. And it was, I can't remember if it was like a 1 in 10, 1 in 25, or just a retailer incentive. I also got issue 2. John Cassaday signed right there. So happy with that one. Almost dropped him. This stupid keyboard drawer is not a good support drawer. Who would have thought? Issue 3 signed by John Cassaday right there. There you go. I think they actually printed like a toy exclusive cover where the cover was like that. But I prefer it upside down and right up, of course. Issue number 4, Cassaday signed. Issue number 5. Hey, guess what? Signed by John Cassaday right there. I think this is the one that had a B cover. I've never been able to really track down. These are all in dollar bins, so I kind of want that variant cover, but I don't really want to pay more than $1 for it, if that makes sense. Issue number 6, we get Colossus and Kitty back together at last finally. Cassaday signature at the bottom. 16, Cassaday signature. Here's a good cover. Issue number 17, Cassaday signature. So we got all the crazy Wolverine covers tonight. So I know a lot of people, I've seen people take this to cons and actually get like a commission sketch on it of something Wolverine is scared of. So it's a fun cover to own. Issue number 18, Cassaday signature right there with all the White Queens. And I absolutely love this cover run of B covers that Cassaday did. I don't know why they didn't just make the one cover, but nonetheless, I thought these were really awesome. So I got as many of these signed as possible. So John Cassaday signed Cyclops 19. The Beast cover on 20 signed by John Cassaday right there. Issue 21, maybe the best one. I just like the way the colors pop, like with like the light blue and the pink. But John Cassaday signed White Queen cover, so probably my pick besides issue 1 for the best cover in the whole run. All right, it's I've been joking on this whole series about David Finch's tiny signature. I think this one takes the cake. So this one, it's an X-Men 200 signed by Humberto Ramos, and right below Humberto Ramos, you get David Finch. So thank you. Need to buy a magnifying glass now. Appreciate it, David Finch. No, that's cool. He saw my book, though. Oh, and here's another one of my favorite gimmicks to do on this series. We've got the thumbprint of the day. Comes from Clayman on X-Men Legacy 245. So, gold paint pen, thumbprint. Gotta love it, I guess. So there you go. Thank you, Clayman. We got a double-signed X-Men Schism. This one's signed by Jason Aaron and Carlos Pacheco. So Pacheco's signature is right up there, and then Jason Aaron is right there. Jason Aaron actually goes to C2E2 like almost every year now, so he's pretty easy for me to get. Carlos Pacheco, I've only met one time, and it was at a Wizard World, like probably 2011, maybe, something like that. One of the last ones I went to. Back to the 90s, we got some gatefold cover action on X-Men Onslaught. Adam Kubert signed this time, and you can't have that one without Marvel Universe Onslaught. So this is the last part of that series, and Adam Kubert signed it right down there. This is before that Heroes Reborn goodness we all know and love from the 90s. Got a Kris Anca signed X-Men Battle of the Atom. Actually, I think this is Wolverine and the X-Men 37. So Kris Anca signed it down there. So I believe this is a B cover of some sort. Can't remember if it's like a 1. I think it's 1 in 10, basically. Speaking of Battle of the Atom, we got a couple Art Adams signatures on these. We got Battle of the Atom number 1, Art Adams signature at the bottom. And Battle of the Atom number 2, once again, signed by Art Adams at the bottom. So kind of cool cover there with some Sentinels and some older X-Men on there. Fellow Hoosier Greg Land signed these next couple books. We got Phoenix Insog number 1, probably one of his most well-known covers. Signed by Greg Land right there. And we've got X-Men The End number 1, part 1, signed by Greg Land, really big right there. So there you go. You guys like Michael Turner? So got a triple signed book, Civil War X-Men. Absolutely love this cover. This is an Aspen exclusive. I think they sold this at maybe San Diego Comic-Con and a Wizard World like one summer is like the only time you could actually buy these, if I remember right. So I had Yannick Paquette signed the top. We got Peter Steigerwald's signature right there. And then right below Emma there, we got Mike Turner's signature. So absolutely awesome book. Once again, if I did the gold label gimmicks back in the day, this would probably be another one that I would have just because of the people who signed it. And one of my favorite Turner covers I don't see around in the community too much. So absolutely love that one. Back to the Frizz, I guess, if you will. We got Phoenix Resurrection. Number 1, signed by Jenny Frison right there. One of my favorite covers she's ever done. Like I said, I love me some Jean Grey. So had to get that one signed when I met her last year. Once again, more Jean Grey. This is a cover C from the J. Scott Campbell store. This is one of the ones I bought last year. He did like a singles sale, which basically just released a bunch out of the warehouse. And they oversold this book. So I got an email like, hey, you want one signed with a COA? I'm like, yeah, sure. Why not? So I got a signature for free, basically, I guess, on this book. So on his website, they charge a lot for the signatures, unfortunately. So happy to have that one. like I said, a couple surprises in it. We're not going to do all X-Men, just 99% X-Men. So we got Why the Last Man, number 60, the final issue of Why the Last Man. Maybe my favorite single read issue of all time is this one. I had to get this one signed by Pia Garris. She wrote Happy Trails on it because it's the final issue. So definitely, for those of you guys watching Story Comic Core, don't want to spoil anything on this book because I know some of those guys are reading it for the first time and may watch this video. But one of the best single issues you can find, especially if you read the previous 59. So there's that. Double signed Young Justice number 1, full of boys on there. Look at that, Superboy, Robin, and Impulse. What a team. Got this one signed by Peter David and Todd Knock. Definitely two of my favorite creators there is. Young Justice number 2 also signed by Todd Knock. Love that book. And then we've got a Young X-Men number 1 signed by Yannick Paquette. This is that weird kind of hidden variant, I guess, before we started doing those this year. This was around Secret Invasion time, so I started hiding Skrulls on covers. And on this one, they have a Skrull Cyclops that's green. So there you go. Hidden variant. All right. So that is the 4th box of the day. But like I said, we got a couple surprises in store since this is a live video. I have forgotten signatures. First, let's go over the chat. Looks like Sam I Am is out. Have a good day, Sam. Bake the Snake loves them. The Civil War cover for Mike Turner. Chris Barrett says, big things come in small packages. I think he's talking about Wolverine still. Chris Barrett says, I've been thinking about it. If I was married to a telepath, I'd never take off my Magneto helmet. Yeah, that's a good plan. Caleb says he's still driving but wants to chat. Just be safe, Caleb. I think Caleb says he's going live on his channel later tonight, so stay tuned for that. He's wanting to do a live hangout, so we'll be seeing Caleb then. But like I said, I have acquired a couple signatures and mystery boxes, an AOK, and just a few I forgot and found in my collection that weren't filed away. So, yeah, we got some bonus signatures to show. And then we'll do some totals and wrap this up. So, if you guys caught the end of Comic Core, that insane show that happened last Friday, I did an unboxing impromptu of a J. Scott Campbell mystery box. I got 6 comics in it, and 4 of them had Campbell signatures. So we've got this Amazing Spider-Man Renew Your Vows 1B cover. Big, huge blue signature by J. Scott Campbell, so I thought that was pretty cool. We got X-Men Black, which of all comics, which, you know, they're all good, of course, but for some reason this one was the only one like a Mylar and fullback. So we got this one signed in a nice gold right there by J. Scott Campbell. So trying to weed out my mystery box purchases, but I do love me some Campbell, as you guys could probably tell. We got this Spectacular Spider-Man D cover from his website, signed in beautiful gold right down there. I think this was technically the Comic-Con exclusive. So usually he does, like, on his basic runs, he'll do like 4 covers, and the 4th cover is a con variant. So happy to get the con variant in the box. This one, it's the B variant. So this is Avengers 8, signed once again in blue down there. J. Scott Campbell. So I think he did like a Mary Jane run of covers. So pretty nice there. These next few were gifted to me by Spidey Fan. So actually, I'm not sure of 100% who signed these, so I'm just going to give it my best guess because they were gifts to me, and there wasn't a note, but he knows I love me some signatures, so he sent me some signed books. So we got this Negan Kills Horizon. I believe it's signed by the writer Bruce Thomas or something like that. I just saw Thomas, which is funny because this guy has an almost identical signature to Bruce Timm. So I got Bruce Timm to sign my sketchbook. I should have brought that for comparison, but he signs pretty much the same way. So I thought that was a little, that's why I was like, Bruce Timm, why did he sign this book? But kind of digging deeper, it was not. So, and then this one I think is Martin Manning, something like that. Last name's Manning. Signed this Turtles book, Amazing Adventures. So it's a cartoon-based comic, obviously, signed right there. And he also signed this Batman TMNT Adventures right down there as well. Got Nick Patara to sign this Manhattan Projects number 18. So I thought that was cool because I actually don't have a Nick Patara signature in my collection. Got an Eric Powell gold signature here at the bottom on this Hillbilly comic book. So, which is funny because I think Eric Powell, he might have moved away, but I think he's actually from the same city as me, and I don't have a signature from him. So I had to get my signature from a guy who's, well, I don't know if Spidey wants me to say where he's from, but Spidey's not from around here. So I thought that was pretty funny. And then the last one he sent me that was signed was this Green Hornet, signed by Ken Lashley, who did the cover. So love me some Ken Lashley covers. He does good stuff. And the last books of the day, we love our 90s gimmicks, but what trumps a 90s gimmick? Lenticular. So we got some lenticular books. I had in a stack of just random lenticulars. I thought about just selling off, but I forgot I had a few signed ones in there. So I got Green Lantern 23.3 / Black Hand #1, signed by Charles Soule. These covers are kind of cool, but if you like line them up and compare them all together, like especially the Green Lantern ones, like I think Billy or Philip, I think is Billy Tan did these covers, and he uses the same Hal Jordan drawing in most of the other covers. So they got a little lazy and complacent with these, but they still look better than any of the Marvel ones that came out. So you got to give them that. We got Swamp Thing 23.1 / Arcane #1. Once again, signed by Charles Soule. So there you go. Poor Abigail is not having a great time inside Anton Arcane there. And then the last book of the day, we got Batman and Robin 23.2 / Court of Owls #1, signed by James Tynan. I also had the, I can't remember, there was another one I had. I think it was a Killer Croc cover, but I threw that in a box for Legends. So now he has that one. Because someone's like, throw in a signature book. That's your gimmick. I'm like, okay, here you go. So one less signature to show, but nonetheless, still a cool cover. I like the way the frames pop in the back. And then I think this is kind of the same thing as like Green Lantern, where they just kind of drew that Batman tied up in the back on most of them. So, but nonetheless, happy to have those. So that concludes the book showing portion. So the last thing we've got to do today, we got to run over some totals. So today's totals for everything I showed. So I showed 103 books and 127 signatures. So big thanks to the X Factor run for giving me those triples and quadruple signed books to really add up on that. So the overall total, all the way through the boxes now, every box has been shown that I have behind me and in that closet. The overall totals are 1,279 signatures, but we're cutting it off at 985 books. So we just missed that 1,000 mark, unfortunately. You know, it's a shame that I couldn't hit 1,000, but you know, if only I had a ring around the room of books that have signatures all over them. And oh, cool, I can show more books next video. So we're going to have a part 14 where we just go over the wall finally. So I've been hyping up the wall video. And I guess kind of spoilers, there's probably like 15 signatures in the first row, or 15 signed books in the first row there. So spoilers, we're probably going to hit 1,000 pretty easily and then some. So just happy to finally get that chronicled tally, so I have a definite answer to this question now. So once again, since Caleb just made it home, we'll repeat that overall total one more time because I don't have the gimmick I can post and all that stuff since we're live here. So 985 books, 1,279 signatures is the official tally for right now, but we'll have a part 14 coming soon, and that one I'm probably going to see if I can record on my phone and then edit over on this computer here. It's something I've never done before, so we'll see how that works out. I may just go ahead and tape that one live too next week or something like that. But it'll probably be a minute before I do that because I do have to work like 8 days in a row after today. So we'll go ahead and wrap this up by going into the chat one more time, saying bye to you guys. So we got Tacoma Comics. What's going on, man? That guy had like a 6-hour auction the other day, so shout out to Tacoma Comics. His back had to be hurting after that one. He says, whose signature do you not have that's a reasonable get? I really want an Ed Brubaker signature at least. I've never met Ed Brubaker. Steve Epting, Brian K. Vaughan, I've never met him. I would love to meet Brian K. Vaughan. He's like one of the top guys I'd love to meet. As I said earlier in the video, I'd love to meet Grant Morrison, but I don't think he makes too many con appearances. But I think he like made his own Vegas con a few years back, and he's really hard to meet there. So it'd be cool to try to get him. And sorry, I'm just kind of looking at my hardcovers because I know there's like people I've met or haven't met that I collect hardcovers for. But yeah, Brian K. Vaughan and Ed Brubaker probably be my two top picks of creators I'd like to meet that are reasonable to get. We got Boatwright Family and Comics. What's going on, man? I think he's the guy who sent, like, I think it was a Comic Head. He sent him a phenomenal art AOK that looks so super cool art, man. You got there, Boatwright. So definitely want to watch more of his channel so I can see his drawings and that stuff. Chris Barrett says Jack Kirby. Yeah, I wish, man. Fortunately, definitely. I'd have to get a time machine for the King, man. That'd be cool to beat him. But yeah, obviously that would not happen. Caleb says, I've got a dog. I don't think you have. I'm going to send these phantoms if you want them. So yeah, I need to hit you up on Instagram, man. I've actually been sorting my comics today, and I found more Phantom Strangers I got from C2E2. I kind of forgot. I think some of those would be doubles for me. So yeah, don't worry about it, man. You can probably keep most of those then. And he says, Stevie, once again, Chris Barrett, probably a time machine would be involved in that one. I never got a chance to meet Stan Lee, unfortunately. That's one guy I wouldn't mind eventually just, tracking down and buying a decent priced book with Stan Lee's signature on it. Unfortunately, by the time I was going to cons were kind of like, we're in that boom period of cons right now. So when Stan Lee was signing before he passed, he'd charge $100 to $200 per signature, like the whole time he was traveling when I was going to these things. So obviously, especially like when I was in college, $100 was not my budget for a signature. Free was in my budget. So unfortunately, I never got a chance to meet, Stan the man. I would have loved to. But yeah, absolutely. But thank you guys so much for joining me on this crazy extra-sized bonus edition of the Signature Collection, or Seawood Signature Series / Signature Sundays, whatever you want to call it. So until next time, the next episode, episode 14, will be featuring The Wall. So if you guys have been watching this from the start, thank you. You've been probably one of the only people who's watched this from the start. But if you notice, some of my runs of books I've showed of signatures have been missing 1 or 2 books per run. You're probably going to see him on The Wall. So if you're like, man, why didn't he show Days of Future Past X-Men 141? You're going to see that next video, among other things. So definitely look out for that. But before I go, big shout out to Comic Spectre, who just hopped in the chat. What's going on, man? He actually saw me get some of these signatures, I think. Yeah, and I do. Oh, Chris Barrett, I do have a Steranko signed poster right there, but I've never got a Steranko signed book, because once again, he goes up every year, his signature does. But until next time, guys, have a wonderful night. Thanks for joining me.